Hello everyone, I'm Vahagan and you're watching Vahography. In this video, I'm going to tell you my 3 big mistakes I've made in the past when purchasing new and used camera gear. Now what I'm about to discuss in this video, I've learned over time. I've learned from my mistakes and I want to pass that along to you guys watching out there. So very valuable information here for the beginner photographers, for the advanced, professionals. So go ahead and share this video if you can, and go ahead and like and hit that subscribe button for more content like this. In this video, I'm not going to talk about the actual items and cameras and lenses that I've bought. I'm actually going to talk about the mistakes when buying these things. 3 major mistakes that I've made. Mistake number 1, influenced by the hype. See, when I was younger, I would watch a review or read about a lens, or friends telling me, you have to get this lens, you have this camera, I can't believe you do not have this lens. So I'd get influenced by all the hype I would read and friends having the lenses, reviews I would see. And I would say, you know what? I need to get this lens. I have the camera. I'm not a real photographer if I don't have this lens. I was young. I thought I needed that lens, and I would go out and buy that lens and, spend all this money, realizing that I wasn't moving with my own pace in photography. Whatever people tell me, I would listen to them and I would get the lens. It wouldn't really help me improve my photography. And not only lenses, bodies. Friends would use Canon, the latest, greatest gear, and I felt like I needed to be just as good as them. And I thought that's what it took, to be a good photographer. And I got the same camera and lens that they would influence me on buying. Oh, you're using that camera? Don't use that camera. You should get this camera. So again, I thought, but by buying their cameras, I would be a better photographer just like them. That's really not the case. You see, you have to move at your own pace in your photography journey. Do what you feel is right. If a particular product is working for you, stick with that product. Master that lens that you have before you move on to the next lens. There's a lot of photographers out there, and me included in the past, where I wouldn't quite necessarily had mastered the lens that I had already purchased, and I would just move on to the next lens. Being influenced with all this hype and all, thought I'd be a better photographer if I owned these lenses. So yeah, guys, that's mistake number 1. Master what you have before you move on to that next lens or that next camera. Mistake number 2, and this is very important, overspending your budget. Now, this can be done a few different ways. How many of you guys out there, a new lens comes out, you don't have the money just yet to buy it, but you take your charge card out, and you charge it. And what ends up happening most of the time? Well, if you're not really making money in this industry just yet, you charge your equipment on your card and you make monthly payments. You end up paying more money for that lens that it actually cost. So over time, the interest kicks in, and again, you just end up spending more money at the end before, after you're done paying this product off with your credit cards. You end up spending sometimes double what this lens actually costs, or this camera, whatever you're buying. So it's very easy to just go out, use your credit card to buy these lenses or these cameras. But that's a mistake on my part. Back in the day, I used to use my credit cards, max them out, sometimes go over the limit, paying all these fees, over limit fees, and I'd make the monthly payment and the balances really didn't go down any. So how many of you guys were so tempted to get that new camera or that new lens or a used camera? You saw an unbelievable deal online and you felt like you needed to jump on it that very second. You had the cash in hand, but that cash was meant to pay your bills, your rent, your car payment, electric bill, cell phone, whatever. You had the money, but that money is for your daily expenses, your bills. And you say, this is such a good deal that I can't pass this up. I'll go ahead and buy the lens now, and I'll worry about the bills later when they come due. That's a huge mistake, and I used to do that when I was starting out. I felt like I would jump on the deal. It'd give me temporary satisfaction knowing that I've owned this product now. I'm a very happy photographer, right? I own the lens that I've always wanted, but I was broke. You end up being broke. Your rent is due, your mortgage, your car payment, and what do you do? What do you do in this situation? You borrow more money to kind of keep this thing going, to pay off your bills. How many of you guys actually pawned your camera equipment, just to buy other equipment? The camera and lens would sit in the pawn shop and they would buy with that, funds that they've had. Big mistake, guys. The advice I can give you guys is go ahead and pay your bills, work hard, save up every month. You make a little bit of money, put it towards new gear, the new gear fund. Don't go out and spend your rent money or your car payment money and think to yourself, you know what? I'll worry about it when the time comes. It's no fun to be late in your bills, and you know how it is. They charge you a late fee, over limit fee, and it's just a nightmare. So I don't want to be here sitting here giving you financial advice because that's not what I'm about. But that was a mistake that I made in my past. I really wanted that product. I just didn't have the money in hand. Overcome that temptation, guys. Overcome the temptation. The lens can wait. The camera can wait. I'm talking about equipment that you really, really don't need. It's a little different when you have a gig coming up and your camera dies and you need a new lens to replace. Then you can go ahead, and it's okay to go ahead and charge it and then pay it off slowly because there's nothing else you can do. But if you're financing, something that's new that you really don't need but you really want, or somebody's selling something online on Craigslist or on eBay, and you know that this is like a one-off deal, and if you don't have it now, you will never get this deal again. Let me tell you guys something. You will get that deal again. It's not a rush. You don't have the money. You don't need to jump on it. Big mistake I've made in the past. So every time you sell your gear and you buy new ones, you always take a hit. You don't sell it for what you paid. You take a hit and you buy the new gear at a premium with tax. You always lose money. So make sure that you buy equipment that you really need in the beginning. All that expensive, all that exotic equipment can come later on in your photography career and not necessarily when you're beginning. So that's mistake number 2, guys. Look at your budget and don't go over that. No matter how tempting it is to buy that new gear, watch your budget. Don't go spending money that you need, for food, rent, and whatnot. Obviously, there are more mistakes that I've made in the past, but I've wanted to highlight what came to mind. Top 3 mistakes when buying new or used gear. And by the way, I do have videos on buying used gear and selling used gear. If you're curious and you want my tips on buying and selling used gear, I did do videos on those 2 topics. Very helpful tips. I'll go ahead and put the links in the description above and in the description below. I'll put those links. Check out those videos when you get a chance. Very helpful tips I've learned over the years, and I want to pass it along to you guys. And mistake number 3, collector mentality. Okay, this can become dangerous. This can become addicting. You are buying lenses left and right. You have the 50, you have the 85, you have the 105. All you need to complete the list is that lens that you do not own. Believe me when I say this can get very expensive. It can get to the point where it has nothing to do with your photography or your jobs. You'd buy products that, it has nothing to do or help you in your photography. For example, you don't own the very expensive lens. You go out and you buy it just because it's missing in your collection. You buy a new camera. Let's say you try out Sony. You need a few lenses to go with your camera, right? You're trying Sony out. You're a Nikon shooter, but you're trying Sony out. You go out and you buy those lenses, and it just becomes an addiction, just like anything else. Collecting baseball cards, collecting whatever you collect, stamps, cars. Watch out for that. It can get very addicting, especially collecting lenses. I know lenses are amazing. Some lenses are just must-haves and wants. But that collective mentality, just try not to have that in photography. I've done that. I've practically at one point owned all the telephoto lenses, starting from the 200, 300, 400, 500, and 600. And let me tell you, I ended up not using any of these lenses for my professional photography work. Anytime you feel like you want to go out and, use a lens that you don't own, try renting a lens for a couple of days. That's what I do. Maybe go out and shoot with a buddy of yours that has that lens. Get that feeling out of your system. Sometimes you read something online and it gets you excited and you think like, well, you see sample images online or someone's review on YouTube and you think, this is what I need. This is what I need for my photography. This will help me be a better photographer if I had the latest, greatest camera or lens. Not the case. Brush up on your skills, brush up on your photography, master whatever you have. The 24-70 lens, fantastic lens. I know that can get generic sometimes. It's just a 24-70. Nobody really talks about that lens because it's just a 24-70 2.8, right? Or f4. But that lens, there's a lot to master. Different focal lengths and, close focus and, just getting the optimal performance from a 24-70 and mastering all the focal length ranges. You can get a lot from that lens. So what I'm trying to say is master what you have. Sit there, look at sample images, try to recreate what you see online with that same lens that you have. I know it can get very exciting and you want to buy that lens that you see sample images. Back in the day, I used to go online and see sample images from other photographers and it'd get me excited. I want that bokeh, There's lenses out there. Of course, they have character. The 200 f2 comes to mind. The bokeh on that lens is very special. You cannot replicate the bokeh on that lens, the Nikon 200 f2. It's in a very expensive lens. However, you can get close. You can get close with the 70-200. I'm not talking, not that close, but you can still have nice bokeh with the 70-200 lens. You could still have nice bokeh with an 85 1.8 lens. Same thing goes 1.8 versus 1.4 or 1.2. You can have that similar results with cheaper lenses, especially when you're just starting out. Going out and charging your card and buying all the latest, greatest gear, especially that, you're on a budget and you're trying to start making money in photography, it's not wise to go and get, yourself in debt just to have the latest, greatest gear. Your buddy might have the latest Nikon Z6 II. Camera's $2,000. You don't have $2,000. You have a $500 budget. Buy something used maybe. Go with your own pace. Eventually you'll get jobs, you'll start saving a little bit of money, and you'll, get good gear later on down the line. Again, I don't want to give you guys financial advice. That's not what I'm about, especially because I've made a lot of mistakes in the past with my camera finances, bought and sold, lost a lot of money. So I don't want to be that guy that says, no, don't buy that, you don't need it. Most of the stuff, and you've heard the argument where photographers say, you don't really need it, you just want it. Needs and wants. Again, I've said this and I'll say it again. I can pretty much get by with the 24-70 lens, no matter what job I'm doing. If I don't need, it's cool to have the ultra wide shot, but I can get by with the 24mm. It's cool to have a nice portrait lens, but I can get by with 70mm on the long end. I can get by. I'll get better results with other lenses, but if push comes to shove, I can get by with the 24-70. I need that lens. The difference between a want, you want the 50-1.2Z lens versus the 50-1.8. Obviously, I would love to have that 1.2 lens. And by the way, I'm using the 1.8Z recording this video with the Nikon Z6. But you see, I need the 1.8. I need the 50-1.8. It costs a fraction of the price of the 1.2. Do you really need the 1.2Z lens? Some people might need it for a special type of look, special type of shoot. But, 9 out of 10 times, beginner photographers or, middle of the road photographers that they're just learning photography, they don't really need all these lenses. They want them. So they get into debt and they go a little bit overboard buying You know, it can get exciting, it can get addicting, and just do it at your own pace. You know, the best feeling in the world is when you buy, let's say, a lens, you know that you don't have to pay for it next month and the next month and the next month after. All right, guys, I'll try to keep this video as short as possible, but I thought it'd be very important to get these points across to you guys. So leave me a comment down below. Let me know one mistake you've made in the past when you were starting out that you learned from when buying new gear. That temptation, that want, that need. Did it take you a long time to overcome that and learn from your mistakes? This is Vahography. I'm Vahagan. This is the Rock and Roll Photography channel, and we'll catch you on the next video. If this is your first time here on Vahography, go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel. This is a channel where we talk all things photography, lens reviews, camera reviews, and much, much more tips like this. We have fun here. You know, we do Vahography talks, and we talk to other like-minded individuals and just like to pick their brain, and we have a lot of fun here. So like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next video. Rock and roll.